Hey guys, it's Katelyn Lesk. Lately, I've been hearing a lot of people saying that they are disappointed in themselves for not living up to their potential. And this could be with their work and career, with their health and fitness, with their relationships, whatever it may be. They're categorizing or judging themselves for not living up to this mysterious potential and beating themselves up. And it's really not healthy to do that when we're not looking at the bigger picture. So the story I'm going to use to animate this point has to do with a realization I had when I was doing a massive clean out of my apartment in October and November of last year. And what that had to do with was I had a ton of books, hundreds of books. I still do. I got rid of a ton. I still have a lot of books. I'm working on it. I get it. But what I used to do prior to this big clean out was I would look at the different categories of books I had, and I would evaluate it individually based on what I thought I would read in that category and what I wouldn't think I would get around to. And that's how I used to evaluate what books to keep and which books to get rid of. So I'm going to illustrate this point by showing you just kind of the type of books I had. So I had books on productivity. I'm going to start to stack these so you can see how ridiculous this was. And by the way, these are the ones I've kept. There's a lot I got rid of. I have books on leadership. I have books on sales and negotiations. I have books on random, interesting topics that I think I'm going to get around to. I have books on physics and engineering. These aren't even textbooks, these were just fun books. Books on psychology. Business-related books. Financial books. I even had books on running. This could go horribly wrong, by the way. And I might not even put these on top because I'm afraid it's going to topple it. And then I had books on spirituality type stuff. So what I would do was I would look at each individual category and I would say, okay, these are my books on spirituality, or these are my books on running, or these are my books on finance. And I would decide which ones of these I thought were the most important, which ones I thought I would get around to reading, which ones maybe I had started and wasn't getting a whole lot out of, so maybe I would give those away, and that's how I would decide. It wasn't until October or November when I was doing this massive clean out that I took all of my books, somewhere in my bookshelf in my living room, somewhere on my desk in my bedroom, somewhere on my dresser, somewhere even stacked on the floor in my bedroom. And I took them all out from all the corners of my apartment where they were, and I put them all in the living room, and I could see just how many books there really were. So even if I read a book a day for the next year, I wouldn't get through, half of them. So that was really when it really dawned on me that it was only when seeing them all together that I could really evaluate what was going to be important to my growth and what maybe wasn't going to be important anymore, or I wasn't, as much as I wanted to read every book that I had, I wasn't going to get around to because I had all these other great books that I wanted to focus on instead. So how this relates to our goals and priorities is this. Yesterday, I was at our L3 Leadership Small Group Mastermind session, and we did our quarterly review of our top 10 goals. What I love about this is when we go over our goals, they are goals related to all aspects of our life. So some of the goals are related to business. Some of them are related to personal stuff. Some of them are related to organization or stuff you want to do around your house. Some are health and fitness. But when you see it all together, it's no big deal if anybody from the group has not made progress on a few of the goals, because we all get to see the bigger picture of everything they're working on. Where I see people say that they're falling short of their potential is when they're just looking at one category of their life. So it's very easy to say, here's this supposed potential I have with my business, but often when we make that evaluation, we're looking just at that category. So sure, if I spent all of my waking hours working on my business, it would probably be a lot farther along than it was. But at what cost? Would I be sacrificing my health? Would I be sacrificing my relationships? Would I be sacrificing fun time for me? So when you evaluate what it is that you feel like you aren't living up to this potential, oftentimes that evaluation is made under the assumption that if that was all you focused on, that's how far you would be. And we often don't realize we're doing it, because I often look at different areas of my life and feel like I'm not doing enough in that category, or yes, I could be theoretically farther along. But when we sit down and we look at all of it together, that's where we can really evaluate our priorities based on the intentionality of where we want to put our energy and what is most important to us relative to the big picture. So when you're evaluating, okay, here are my finances, here's my health and fitness, here's my relationships, here's my business, whatever categories you have, make sure you're looking at it as the totality of it all to see what you really have time for. Because yes, your health and fitness might be on point if you had nothing else to focus on. But if you have all these other categories of life that also are priorities of yours and also that you care about, your potential then becomes relative to all of those other things. So you're probably doing a lot better than you think, because you're juggling all of these things together, you're balancing, and you're prioritizing based on how they all fit together, not what it would look like in one individual category. So that really helped me when I was giving away all these books, was to look at what am I going to read relative to all of these things I want to read, rather than what am I going to read relative to the other books I have in that category. So I hope that makes sense. When you sit down and you start looking at your goals, or if you're just evaluating different areas of your life, make sure you're giving yourself credit for all of the other things you're doing and not just looking at this hypothetical potential in one category, because potential is always relative. There's always going to be another level. You're likely never going to be at a point where you're going to say, yep, I hit my potential in that category today. So it's just a mechanism that we use that often leaves ourselves not feeling good enough, or like we're not doing enough, and that's just not useful. So here I am telling you, you are doing great in life, and make sure when you evaluate how you think you're doing and your self-reflection, you're really taking into account the big picture of all of it. I hope you guys are having a great week, and I will talk to you soon.